everyone. I hope you're going to enjoy a interesting and inspiring lunch break because it's 12:15 here in Hamburg. My name is Ines Kaps, and I'm very excited to talk to you about, I think, a very creative, innovative, and super important topic, conflict management. I have 23 years of international project and program management experience on my belt. And obviously, along the way, I've faced a lot of conflicts, a lot of challenges and problems. Some I was able to solve and overcome, some I didn't. And I would like to share a little bit of my experience and how I tackle topics of conflicts in a project. I'm also founder of Passion for Projects Academy. This is a coaching membership for female project leaders or women in project management. And I will talk a little bit about it at the end of this presentation. So what are we going to have a focus on today is what are conflicts or what are conflicting situations, and what are the strategies and the elements that you can use and I've been using to find creative and innovative solutions. So imagine three different project situations. One is a system implementation where you have a headquarter in Japan, and the project is actually focusing on the sites of the company in Europe and in the US. And the conflict that we had to solve was that the process that this business was or wanted to implement, they wanted to implement a global process that should be used globally, standardized in every site and in every country. The difficulty was that the legal requirements were different in Japan versus Germany, for instance. So the conflict was really to understand and explain what are the differences and how can you adjust the process, adjust the systems so that it meets, on the one hand, the requirements of as standard as possible, requirements from Japan, from the headquarter, and the legal requirements, the compliance requirements within Europe. The second situation was in an engineering setup where also a new process, master data management process, was implemented using new technologies, new systems. And the question was, well, if I have a new item, where is basically the birth of this item? Where is the birth of this data? Is it in the engineering system because it's an engineering item, or is it in SAP, which was the system that was used in most elements, in most departments of the company, and that was heavily depending on the correct information of this item. And it was less a technical problem because you in most cases you find technical solutions. So it was rather the element of understanding, well, do you need to change the process of this data creation and data approval process? And if you change the process from the engineering system to SAP, who is actually kind of losing power? Who is the owner of this item, this information? And the question of ownership was very much attached to the system, because some people some people from the engineering departments, they never used SAP, so they were really against having SAP as the leading system, because they feared that they would lose the influence and the power. So yes, it was a technical question and a process question, but in the end, it was also about who is the owner, who has the power and the influence. And a third situation was where we implemented also a new IT system with data protection elements attached to it. And in that situation, the Workers' Council was very, very critical and feared that the employees would be more tracked than before. And understanding the questions and the, I wouldn't, maybe resistance for this, it's not the correct word, but it was the fear of being tracked, of also again losing the ownership of some of the data. This was also a very critical situation, because in Germany there are a lot of decisions, and also IT decisions, where the Workers' Council has to approve. And if they don't approve, you will not implement the IT system. And it is very important to integrate the Workers' Council and also to explain not only what you're doing, but finding a solution together with the Workers' Council. So these were three conflicts, three problems I had to solve, or was responsible to solve these situations. As in all three situations, in all three projects, I was the project manager. And for me, the most important part is really understanding the nature of the conflict and the nature of the problem. And this also has a lot to do with different stakeholders. And I've made a couple of videos about in-depth stakeholder analysis. And this is a short abstract. So it is really important when you want to detangle a conflict and find a setup where you can solve a conflict, is to understand, well, what are the interests and what are the pain points from the different stakeholders. So why are they either for a solution, or why are they against the proposed solution? So what is the reason behind this conflict? And maybe there is history, and you don't know it in particular when you're an external project manager. You may not know the whole history. And yes, you don't need to go back 25 years to understand every single step, but I think it is important to understand the context that you're working in. And in order to find solutions and bring people together, because that's the essence of conflict management, is bringing people together and empowering them and enabling them to understand each other. Because a lot of the conflicts, a lot of the problems you're facing in a project are based on misunderstanding, using similar words, but having completely different meanings. So one example for this is change management. When you use the terminology change management in an IT setup, the people in IT when you talk to them about change management, they will think about changing or managing changes in a technology, a new update, a new feature, a new topic, a new system. That is in their setup change management. When you're talking about, when you're talking to HR, for instance, and you're talking with them about change management, they will talk about people change management and changing behaviors. So you're suddenly having the same terminology, two different type of meanings. And this not only happens with change management, but when you're talking within different departments, they most likely use similar terminologies, but mean something different. And to understand, not only to understand, but to detect these different meanings, this is of extremely important. This is of very high importance to really detect other misunderstandings, because in what I've also found in a lot of cases, you're actually on the same side and you want to achieve the same goal, but due to the lack of understanding what the other person means and really means, is something that really causes a lot of frictions in projects. So this is also related to the communication style. Different people use different, not only terminologies or same terminologies and different meanings, but people sometimes are, let's say, loud, other are maybe more introverted. Some people focus on details, the other ones are focusing on goals and high-level information, but long-term information. So all these different type of communication styles is essential to understand and also raise the awareness between the stakeholders that there is most likely some communication issue or some communication friction. Another really important part in order to understand the conflict, but also to find a solution, find an innovative solution, is understanding the business case, and not only understanding the business case of the project you are leading, because that is your utmost importance to deliver on the business case, because that's your responsibility, but also to understand the business case of the different stakeholders, because they may have a different business case, they may have different goals and targets they need to achieve, and maybe there are conflicting goals and targets, and understanding and also highlighting or bringing to the surface these different business cases will make the conflicting situations, the problems, or however you want to call it, this will make it more visible. And what is also, let's say, for me, the final and also important topic is understanding the dependencies. So if you solve this conflict or this problem, what is the dependency? What is the dependency for the project? What is the dependency for the different stakeholders? If you don't solve this conflict, what is the dependency then? What is the dependency not only for the project, but also for the different stakeholders? And having this dependency in mind and the consequences of either solving or not solving a situation is for you as a project leader important to understand when you may need to get some help, or when you may need to escalate to management to move forward. So that is the analysis part in conflict management, in my view, from my experience. And how would you then resolve a conflict and find a solution. For me, conflict management is more about finding a solution, being creative and finding an innovative way to solve. So this is also the focus is not on the problem, is the focus is on the solution, is how to get things done, how to get things solved. That is for me the driver. That is my core job in my view, as a project manager or as a project leader, to find a solution, to make things happen, to get things done. And when you bring the different people to the table, to one table, physically or online, I think one of the key elements you need to create is a understanding of each other. And understanding of each other does not mean bringing them to the table or to a Teams meeting and having the introduction for 5 minutes. Is establishing the understanding is your pre-work to this meeting, is having one-to-one conversations with those different stakeholders, understanding what are their issues, what is the conflict, and where do they think are the other people right or wrong. So really to understand what is their topic. And once you have all the topics around, is maybe doing a second round and trying to already pre-inform the people, well, what is the other side? What is the topic of the other side? So that the people who come into this meeting, physically, online, or however, is to already have an awareness, yes, this is my cup, but the other cup looks different, and maybe they can already prepare themselves to see the different sides. So it is really extremely important to establish a common understanding. So also the common understanding that maybe the different words mean different things. So maybe there is a misunderstanding, and you can highlight this misunderstanding, and people are actually, when they explain what they think and talk to each other, most of the problems are already solved by bringing people together and moderating the conversation. I don't know how often I was in a conversation and I brought people together who just did not realize the easiest way is to maybe not only pick up the phone, but actually meet and have a conversation. And by explaining their different viewpoints, the other person was suddenly understood. They suddenly understood each other, and the conflict or problem was not a problem anymore, because it was just a misunderstanding or a lack of information. So that is, let's say, the beauty of conflict management, bringing people together. A second element, and I find this very fascinating in meetings, is the ability, or I think the courage I have in most cases to address the elephant in the room. So when people are talking about different topics and you detect that they are actually talking about two different things. So change management, either IT system change management or behavioral change management. But the people just don't realize that they're actually talking about two different topics, and addressing these misunderstandings, or just in a very crystal clear and polite. So I think respect is one of the most important traits that you need to have as a project manager in resolving conflicts. Is showing people respect, and and then you can address the elephant in the room or address the conflict in the room in a respectful way. I think that is also something that helps people to relax. I don't know why people have in a lot of cases why they lack the courage to just raise the topic and address the conflict. But you as a project leader, if you have the courage and the sensibility, the tonality in your communication to address the conflict in a confident and respectful way, this already opens up a conversation and opens up the possibility and the opportunity, that's the better word, the opportunity to solve a problem. Because basically conflict management is nothing else than solving a problem. And a lot of people pray or have on their CV, I'm very good in problem solving. I'm very good in problem solving. That's fine. That is actually conflict management. You're solving a problem. And if you address the elephant in the room, you're also detaching all the, let's say, the negative emotions. Because conflict has, in a lot of situations and in a lot of communications, a very negative tonality attached. And if you try to detach these negative emotions to this and say, well, we are facing a problem, let's try to solve it. This is something where you then really can move people into a solution finding mentality. Because that is, I think, also something that you really need to focus on. In a lot of discussions, when we have a problem, when we have a project meeting with different stakeholders and we want to raise a topic and find a solution, there are sometimes people who focus on the issues, who focus on all the things that don't work or will never work, or where we always had an issue, and they tell you a list of 1,000 items why your solution will not work. And this energy is very draining. But you also need to realize that those people, in most cases, their job is to find the issue, find the problems. As an example, when I look at quality management departments, their job is to raise the quality standard of a project or of a product. So their task is to find all the errors. Their core job is to find errors. So when you've done error analysis for your whole life, and your strength is finding errors, and then you're suddenly in a situation where you should be finding the solution, that's difficult to switch. I'm probably painting a lot of things black and white, so bear with me. But I really would like to draw the focus on the mindset of finding a solution. And in these workshops, what I usually do is I don't tell the people, forget about your objections, forget about all the things where you think it will not work, because these pieces of information are really valuable to actually cross-check the solution and to highlight and identify potential risks or change resistances. So it is really important information. But this really important information does not help in the beginning when you try to find a solution, when you try to be creative, innovative, where you really need all this creative energy. So what I would suggest is, when you have people in the room who typically point out all the things that do not work, prepare the agenda and also tell them, this is important, but we will not address this either in this meeting. We will have a follow-up meeting where your objections, where your critique will be heard and will be absolutely important and useful. But the topic and the target of this meeting is finding a solution. So finding ways to make things happen, finding ways to make things possible. And what I also realized, that we're very used to listing all the things, let's say, we don't like or we don't want. I don't want to, I don't know, get up early. I don't want to click 3 times on a system. So when you ask people what they want, they give you a huge list of what they don't want. And it is a shift, a mindset shift, and also a thinking shift when you ask people, it's okay, yes, I understand what you don't want, but I now need you to tell me what you want. It is not as fast and not as easy to understand what you want. It's not the opposite of what you don't want. But this mindset shift is, how can we make something work? What do we want? So it's really the creation, the innovation, and the positive, let's say, the growth mindset that you need people to focus on. You need to force, and I'm deliberately saying force, you need people to force their energy on the solution. That is your main job as a project leader, to force people to think about solutions and not problems. And once you get this creativity and the conversations and discussions going, where you say, we now really need to find a solution, and then in a second or third step, where you say, okay, we now found a solution. What are the risks that we are taking? What are the objections that we may need to face? But by integrating also the people who are typically on the issue analysis side, if you really try to integrate them in the development of a solution, they will then also help you with all the risks they have seen previously. So it is forcing people to focus on finding a solution. And that is, for me, one of the most important traits of a project leader, because it requires a lot of energy. It really requires people to get engaged, to change their mindset, to change their thinking for this specific situation, for this specific workshop, meeting, or however you want to structure it. Sometimes you do not find a solution, and that's when you really need to communicate with the sponsor of the project, the responsible people, where you need most likely C-level support. So if there is a topic where you cannot move on, where you don't find a solution, it may be a situation where you need to say, well, we accept that we don't find a solution for this process step for this change behavior change topic for this technology request. If you accept not finding a solution, maybe that is the solution for the time being. You don't have to solve everything at once for this project. Maybe there is a step two. Maybe it makes sense to solve this topic at a later stage. So deciding we do not find a solution in this time frame, and we accept not to have a solution, that is a solution in itself. And it is really necessary that you communicate this clearly, that you document this clearly, and then you can move on. And if you're in a situation where you say, well, we do not find a solution, and if we do not find a solution, the project will stop. That's the situation, the latest, when you really need to escalate it at C-level. So having a really good relationship with your sponsor, with the management, with all the stakeholders who actually can influence the project in a positive or negative way. So who can stop the project, or who can get all the obstacles, move all the obstacles out of your way. Having these strong relationships is really important for you. So to sum up, how do I usually go about solving a problem, solving a conflict, is really to establish the understanding between the different stakeholders. In most cases, there is a misunderstanding. It is the courage to address the elephant in the room, and I think being polite and respectful is a way to address any conflict in a respectful way, and see, well, we have this conflict, we need to solve it. How do we go about it? And by focusing the communication and the energy on the solution and not on the problem, that's where you actually really get the people into a collaborative setting, where you say you can move forward. You can move forward with the project. You can move forward with the transformation. And escalating if needed, or also communicating once you have found the solution, communicating how you did it and what you did and what the outcome is, communicating this to the C-level, to the stakeholders, to the steering committee, is extremely essential, because this will then build your reputation and build trust. And building trust is something that you really need to establish a lot as a project leader. It's building trust with the different stakeholders, building trust in particular with the decision makers and the sponsors of the project, so that they trust you, that you do the job, but also you trust them that they will help you. And in a lot of cases, it is also you using the network that you have built over the course of the project, using your network to get not only the information you need for solving the problem, but also get the right people on board to solve this problem and solve the conflict. Because you don't need to solve everything yourself, but you are responsible that the conflicts and the problems get solved. So it is really having the responsibility that things get done and things get solved, where you need to have a focus on. And last but not least, it's really asking for support, for support from the sponsors, from the steering committee, from the C-level. That is the essence, where you say, well, I cannot solve it myself. I need to escalate because it's a level above my decision grades or whatever. It is also, it's not only asking for support, but if you and the stakeholders, when you are on the same level and you cannot agree and it requires a decision from the level above, it's your job to get this decision. It's your job to request that the people above do their job and decide. So and sometimes this is also very difficult because people don't want to take these decisions. But if it's not on your level to decide and to solve the conflict, you really need to escalate. And escalation per se is nothing bad, is absolutely nothing bad. It is doing your job. It's you're moving this. If you cannot decide and if you cannot solve, it is the job and the responsibility of the people above, when you are in a hierarchy, to do their job. And that is basically escalation. You're moving, or you're requesting the people who are responsible and who have the decision-making power to decide. That's all about escalation. So that was my approach in conflict management. And I would like to give you also an overview of the Passion for Projects Academy. That's where the things that I've shared today, I will be coaching women in project management on these topics, on change management, on conflict management, on how to get the people on board, how to really get them understanding. So getting quite some levels deeper than what I have done today. So the project Passion for Projects Academy is for women in project management who struggle, who say, I feel unseen, I'm very stressed, I don't move forward. So that's basically for you, and if you want to change and if you want to grow. So these are the two prerequisites if you want to join Passion for Projects Academy. What is it? It's an online coaching program where we have weekly coaching calls and where we have monthly deep dives on 5 power skills. And the goal of it is to really become a confident project leader. The 5 power skills are about stakeholder and business case management. It is establishing you as a project leader with the required and the best reputation. And it's also the development where you say, I need a different reputation towards the management team, towards C-level, than I have towards externals or towards my team. So it's really understanding reputation management in the context of you as a project leader. Then we have a lot about building the confidence to get into a conflict, to address the elephant in the room, to also raise awareness or advocate yourself, getting seen, getting heard, building this confidence and this courage to go out there, basically. Then we have the topics about communication and project politics, because different communication styles, how do you communicate, how do you integrate, and how do you manage politics? That's one of the key, or one other key power skill. And in the end, it's, let's say, the 5th power skill is really to manage conflicts and to manage change. So we will have coaching sessions on these 5 power skills, where in the weekly coaching calls, the women come with their current topics, come with their current projects, and ask the questions. We will do coaching on their current topics, and also establish some role play so that you have the possibility to exercise and train different situations, so that you basically build the experience in being in a conflict, getting the experience to communicate on sea level. How does this work? I'm currently in the first launch. So tomorrow, Friday, 14th of June, I will be closing the doors for the first launch of Passion for Projects Academy. You can either have a monthly subscription or an annual subscription. I'm already super excited that I have a woman who gave me the trust for an annual subscription. I already have women joining on a monthly subscription. So these are currently the two options. And if you want to know more about it, hop over to passionforprojects.academy, and you find out more about the project, the program, what it is about, how the delivery mode is. And there are also a lot of frequently asked questions that I've collected and put on the website. So I hope this was valuable to you. I will be on a launch party tomorrow, and the launch party is about my experience in launching such a project or program via LinkedIn. How did it work? What are the results? What are my learnings? I would like to share a little bit about how those 2 weeks went. And I would also like to celebrate the women who've already joined, and share a little bit of how I will move on. Have a great rest of the day, and I hope you're going to celebrate with me tomorrow.